Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you know, deep research is one of the most powerful tools that we have in AI today. So what I'm going to do is compare ChatGPT's deep research with Gemini's deep research. Let's see which one's best. Let's get into it. So let's start with price. Let's have a look at ChatGPT. So here we are on OpenAI's pricing. And if you want deep research, then the free model doesn't work. You do get some access to it on the plus model. There we go. Access to deep research, multiple research reasoning models. And then on the ridiculously priced pro model, you get everything in the plus and you get extended access to deep research. Now, I have the pro model. So I have the pro model and I use deep research just about every day and it's never run out. So I'm not sure how much access you get on the plus model, but certainly you get access to it. So let's presume you would get enough to do these 5 separate tests that we're going to do today. All right, that's ChatGPT, OpenAI. Okay, here we are on Gemini, and in Gemini, the £0 a month account gives you some access. So access to deep research here, look, generate comprehensive reports with limited access to deep research. So it's limited access. And if you spend the £20 a month, you get expanded access to deep research. And obviously they have no $200 a month account. So certainly Gemini on this model, probably a bit cheaper. So on this, Gemini wins. You get access to deep research for $0, and then it's only £20 for the extended access. So let's put them side by side and see which one's better. I've got a series of criteria I'm going to use. I'm going to check them against accuracy, so the correctness of the information it's provided. I'm going to look at the depth of analysis, how many pages of information we get. I want to make an assessment about clarity. How easy is it to understand each of the bits of activity, and how well structured are the responses? I want to make an assessment about the practical usability of what ChatGPT and Gemini gives me. So that the actionable insights and recommendations, are they practical? I'm going to have I will measure them against speed and efficiency, the time taken to generate the responses, and price. Obviously, we're going to look at price. We've looked at price, so we know that in that case, Gemini wins. And then I'll add them all up and tell you which one I think is the best. Let's get into it. Okay, to generate the prompts, I'm going to use the prompt builder. It sits on my website, theprofessor.info, free to use, prompt builder. You have to log in, that's all. It's absolutely free. You can go into it. I'll just show you one. The rest of them we'll just bang on through. You get here to this interactive prompt builder. You define your goal. So I have put in here what I'm trying to achieve. I want to create a market and competitive intelligence report using deep research on the EV market in UK. And I want it to, you set what you want it to be, and I want it to be formal. I want a formal market and competitive intelligence report. And what the prompt builder does is then ask you a series of clarifying questions. What specific areas of the EV market in the UK are you most interested in? EV sales, charging infrastructure, policy incentives, key players. I'm going to say all of these. And if I don't want to answer, I can just let ChatGPT answer all the questions, or I can let it answer individual questions. Are there any specific competitors or companies in the EV sectors you're particularly interested in? No, cover them all. What is the time period for the data and the information you're interested in? The last 3 years, and look ahead at projections. What details do you need in the competitive intelligence part of the report, e.g. market strategies? I'm going to say all of these. Would you like the report to also consider global trends and market influences on the UK EV market, or should it focus strictly on the UK? No, include global trends. So what the prompt builder has done there is go through the capture formula to identify the context for the prompt, etc. And it's put barriers around it. So it should now generate a prompt that I can use in both ChatGPT and Gemini. And let's see what we get. It takes a few seconds. Here we go. And it gives me a prompt. So you now just cut and paste this prompt. You can do a number of prompts and then download them, but I'm just going to cut and paste it. And then we're into, got ChatGPT and we've got Gemini Deep Research. So I'm going to paste it into this one and click Deep Research. And I'm going to paste it into Gemini and click Deep Research. That's already on. And let's see what happens. Press go, press go. Now, what I'd expect from ChatGPT is that it will ask me a whole load of questions. Thanks for the detailed brief. To make sure I capture everything accurately, could you please confirm the following before I begin my research? So what I normally do here is copy this in, paste it, and then do the answers. What is your preferred time frame for future projections? Say up to 2030. Gemini is still working over here. Do you want financial data in GDP, GBP, Great British Pounds, not GDP? Should the scope include plug-in hybrids or battery only? All EV only. Are there any specific competitors, technologies you'd like to emphasize? No. Do you want the output to be a downloadable report, or will a structured response here with visuals and tables work? Downloadable report. See if it does that. So I've answered the questions, send them in, and now Deep Research is going. Let's see what we've got. On the Gemini side, it's not asked me any additional questions. So it's just jumped into it, and it's telling me what's the rest of the prompt. It's telling me then what it's going to do. Oh, okay, so here's a research plan. Does that make sense? I think it does. I'm going to say start research. So it hadn't started. So the first thing it did was create a research plan. That's interesting. I've not used Gemini quite so much. I'm less familiar with it. Gemini is quite interesting because it starts giving you the information straight away, which is really cool. Initial market scan tells me which websites it's looked at. It's quick, isn't it? Wow. I wonder if that's the websites it's actually looked at, or the websites that it's researching the websites it could use. Let's come back when it's done and we'll review what the output we get. Okay, well, Gemini finished first, so let's look at Gemini first. So over on this side, you can see the working that it did a lot of working. I don't know if you can go back into any of these. No, completed your research. Feel free to ask any questions. And has it produced a document? It's got an export to docs over here. I'm just going to click this, see what we get. No, it's here. So we've got export to docs. So let's just have a look at what it's given us. Not sure what this is. I wonder if this is some code to produce this. Guess that's what it is. Looks cool. Let's export it to docs and see what we get. So it took about 6 minutes to produce this report. Let's see what we get. Very cool that it will just export it straight in. Yeah, don't need that. It's given me the document, tables in there. Quite sure what this sort of highlighting looks like. Sure, I could sort that out. Tables. So it's given me a sort of raw document to work on. Given me lots of references. Let's have a look at where it's got its data from. Green match electric vehicles. Lots of we buy any car. Carexpert.co.uk. Zap map. Loads. Looked at 103 different sources. Very cool. Now, where do I find out on here how many pages we've got? Oh, there we go. We've got 22 pages. We've got 22 pages. I'm going to have a read through so I can do some marking of it. But we've got 22 pages out of Gemini. Very cool. Very quick. 6 minutes. It took about 6 minutes. Okay, well, ChatGPT is finally finished. It took 27 minutes. It felt like a lifetime, to be honest. And I think this happens sometimes, that it gets itself into a bit of a loop. You can see here, it was searching for BYD's 2023 revenue, and this took nearly 5 minutes itself, and the message got cut off, and so it continued without it and did some other things. So it's pulled together the insight. So once it got past this blockage, it worked quite quickly. But I have noticed that sometimes it will block. But in terms of time, Gemini took 6 minutes, ChatGPT 27 minutes. Let's have a look at what it gave us. Got the document here. Has it given us a document that we can download? I'm going to have to cut and paste this into Word. See, it's a lot of it. Let's get down to the bottom. So it's used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sources. It didn't give me a downloadable document. So let's copy it and go into Word, pasted it in. It gives me the format that I generally use for my documents, and gives you a message at the top, which is not very good. Present a professional downloadable report with clear structure. I'll let you know when it's ready. That UK battery electric models marketing competitive intelligence report, UK BEV market overview, BEV sales growth. I think it might have given me 3 reports. So it's nicely set out, although I think the use of tables is a bit missing, and it is left in. So it has transferred the euros into pounds and left it in as a change in the document. Quite interesting. Got links in the document. JLR. Oh, this makes me feel a little bit sick when I see all those links inside a document like that. Let's go down. Goes through each of the major organizations or Chinese EV brands, EV startups. British Volt went bust, didn't they? It collapsed in January 2023. Outlook for the market, quite like that structure. Not a table in sight, which is probably, I would prefer some tables. I liked the way Google did that. And just to note, there are 46 pages of this. So what did Google produce? 22? There's a lot more depth here. I'm going to go and have a look at this, and then I'll make some assessment about how in-depth the 2 papers are, how relevant they are, etc. And I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've been through both documents, and in terms of accuracy, I think both of them were really accurate. I did some checking of the references that were there. They were all real. I've yet to find, to be honest, I've yet to find a hallucination in deep research, but yeah, they both seem very accurate. So I gave them both 5 out of 5 for that. In terms of depth of analysis, the level of detail and insight provided by ChatGPT was, well, almost twice as much. So I gave that 5 out of 5. But Gemini's was good. You know, it wasn't, ephemeral. It was good. It just didn't give you that real underpinning analysis. So I gave that a 3. In terms of clarity, I found both of them quite hard to read, to be honest. But there was a lot of information in both of them, so I gave them both a 4 for that. Speed and efficiency, ChatGPT was slow. It took 27 minutes. It took 6 minutes for Gemini, so I gave Gemini 5 and I gave ChatGPT 2. It did finish, so it didn't get a 1. And yeah, so that's that. What I'm going to do, we're going to do 4 more of these deep researchers. Don't worry, you don't have to sit through them all. But I will put them in, show you the prompts, put them in, show you the outputs, and then at the end we'll give everything a score and we'll find out which one is the best. Okay, so this time I'm looking to do some research into landmark intellectual property cases over the last 10 years. So those cases in technology in particular that have made a real difference. So I've crafted a prompt. I use the prompt generator. Don't forget, you can use it. It's absolutely free. Just go on to theprofessor.info and do prompt, go into tools and then prompt generator, and then you'll be able to, or prompt builder, I think it's called, prompt builder, and you'll be able to create prompts like this. So, okay, here's the ChatGPT document, as you would expect, 43 pages, very long, about 30 sources it went through and took about 12-14 minutes, something like that. I must be honest, I get a bit bored sitting here watching it think, but yeah, pretty good. And then let's have a look at what Google gave us. So Google's deep research gave us 12 pages, a nice executive summary, no issues with tables, etc. Covered all of the main areas of IP. Neither of them managed to give me a nice pretty timeline. Maybe I can use a different piece of software to do that. So yeah, pretty good. So what did I think on accuracy? I thought that ChatGPT was more accurate. Google document was accurate and it had some of the information was a bit general about IP cases. It lacked citations and clear references sometimes. Some explanations, particularly around the case outcomes and legal implications, were a bit too simplified, whereas ChatGPT was detailed and accurate and had clear references, all the court rulings, dates, jurisdictions, etc. And yeah, so it was pretty good. So I gave Google 3 and I gave ChatGPT 5 for that. In terms of depth of analysis, Google this time was a bit shallow. So it produced about a quarter of the pages that ChatGPT did. So the analysis was a little bit shallow. It covered broad themes and missed out some depth that would have been nice. Whereas ChatGPT was very in depth, it was comprehensive, and it was better at sort of, so it made the effort to try and describe what were quite complex legal cases, whereas Google's Gemini sort of stayed a bit above. So I gave Gemini 2 out of 5 and I gave ChatGPT 5 out of 5. And then in terms of clarity, I thought that Google's Gemini was really clear, it was straightforward. Some of the sentences were a bit long, but its readability was good. And actually ChatGPT was extremely clear and well structured. It did a better job of structuring it. So yeah, I gave Gemini 4 and I gave ChatGPT 5. And in terms of usability, Gemini was a bit of a basic overview, so not as useful as that sort of in-depth. Useful for a quick reference guide, absolutely, and as the start of a piece of research. But I think that ChatGPT just had more depth in it, and its understanding of the cases it just gave us a bit more of the understanding of the cases. So I gave Google 3 and I gave ChatGPT 5 out of 5. Cool. So on that one, ChatGPT won. Google was just a little bit behind in some areas, but if you wanted something a bit lighter and faster, Google's your choice for that one. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so this time I'm trying to find out about the moon landing. So I'm interested in gaining a thorough understanding of the Apollo 11 moon landings. I want some of the key facts, and I want you to I want the GPT to dispel any myths or explain why the myths still stand, etc. I've asked for something a little bit less detailed, so we'll see. So I'll maybe give more marks for a shorter answer than the very longest answer, ChatGPT, and start off with Gemini. Gemini, I'll just get going. ChatGPT will ask me some questions. So I forgot to, gives me a video, I forgot to put in deep research, which is often a problem, shows you what's happened. So what we'll do is we will start again, put the prompt in again. This time, click deep research. So if you do it, you use 4.5 and do it without deep research, it's super quick. It's really good. And as always, I get my questions. So I just cut and paste them into the chat and answer the question, get it going. It's going to take some time. All right. So Gemini works quite well. This you answer one lot of questions while the other one's producing its research plan. I'm interested in getting a thorough understanding of Apollo. Additionally, I'm curious. Tells me what it's going to do. And I'll say, get going. You can, of course, edit the plan there. So if it got something a little bit wrong, then you could go in and edit the plan. Basically seemed okay to me, so I let it go. And I'll come back when we get the answers. Okay, so this is Google Gemini Deep Research and Apollo 11, humanity's first lunar landing, introduction, key facts. This took about 4 minutes this time. It wasn't so great. Unraveling the myths, addressing common misconceptions, evidence, lots of data, 13 pages. And remember, I was looking for a sort of overview summary. So that's that feels like quite a lot. Anyway, pretty good effort, no doubt. Let's have a look at what ChatGPT produced. So interestingly, so this is the first time that ChatGPT has produced less than Google. And remember that we're asking for a higher level overview. So let's have a look. Yeah. are like this. So it has given me the myths and misconceptions. It's put the myths: moon landing was hoax, staged on Earth, why it was false, etc., and goes through each of them. Gives me my sources, typical analysis, detail and scope. Analysis of Apollo 11 for a business or academic audience usually provide high-level summary of emissions, key facts and significance. Pretty cool. So in terms of the comparison, I gave, for accuracy, both of them were really accurate. And yeah, I thought the referencing was credible. They looked at NASA. Certainly Gemini looked at more places for sources for information, which it's done in every single case. But in terms of the actual things that it referenced, they both made very sensible. So I've given them 5 out of 5, both of them for accuracy. In terms of the depth of analysis, so the Gemini one gave more depth to it. So I've given that 5 out of 5. In terms of ChatGPT, much less depth, but remember that we did ask for a sort of high-level overview. So, I've given that 4 out of 5 because there wasn't so much depth. Clarity, I think Gemini this time gave so much detail that it was a bit more difficult to understand. ChatGPT one was really easy. It was set out nicely, really effective. So I've given Gemini 4 out of 5, ChatGPT 5 out of 5. In terms of usability, although Gemini was more detailed, actually the formatting and the way that ChatGPT presented was just better in my view. So I've given Gemini 3 out of 5 and I've given ChatGPT 5 out of 5. Let's move on. Okay, so this time I'm looking to do some project focus, some technical research for some product development. And I'm interested in mobile phones for batteries. So I'm asking for a comprehensive overview of the global market, data and analysis on the major technological advancements, 3 years of mobile phone battery technology, a thorough review of patents filed in the mobile phone battery technology within the last 3 years globally, all that to be put into a document. So let's set off ChatGPT, put deep research on this time, and exactly the same for Gemini. And as is its will, ChatGPT will ask me some questions. So once again, I'll go through those. And Gemini, undertaking the research, a comprehensive overview of the global market, tells me what it's going to do. It's okay, so I can start the research, and I'll come back to you when I get a response. Okay, just while this was working, I wanted to show you just the amount of websites that Gemini goes through. And of course, one of its real advantages is that it can read YouTube videos. So really cool. Now, it doesn't necessarily use all those as sources, but it will read them to get an overview of the subject, the topic. Cool. Here we go. So this is what it's actually researching, but it had a look at all of these. Okay, so this was Gemini's version of mobile battery market. Lots of really good stats here and a very deep analysis of the various technological changes. Nice table there this time. I think it's well structured. The headings seem very sensible. Yeah, just a really useful document. Gemini did well. As always, it was as fast as hell, and ChatGPT took about 4 times longer. But yeah, graphene batteries, some of it would obviously need a little bit of finessing in terms of getting the document going, but yeah, it looks good. I like the fact it's using tables. That makes the information easy. 26 pages here and a whole load of works that were cited all look very sensible to me. So not necessarily a lot of academic papers, a lot of sort of reports. They all look sensible to me. And it had, quite a few. Cited 89 documents. That's pretty impressive. Let's have a look at what ChatGPT produced. Okay, here is ChatGPT's version. Not quite sure why it always puts in the sort of conversation telling you what it's going to do. I don't think it's just not necessary. Lots of information, not quite as accurate, I found when I went through it. 24 pages this time, so a little bit less than Gemini. So I thought that what might happen is that ChatGPT always did 4 times as much, but not the case at all. Table in there, not quite as well formatted. Market trends. Let's have a look at how many people were cited. Lots of these inbuilt links in the document. Right, and in terms of sources, done it in a slightly different way this time. So it's just put links in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd have to count them all up. A few. I'm not sure I like this methodology here. I think what I would probably do, and it's broken it down into the different areas, which is helpful. But I think what I would like to do is have something a little bit more formal. Okay, let's rank them. Okay, so in terms of Gemini, I think it had lots of precise figures in it on the market size, etc., comprehensive patent data. It named the companies. It was specific about the patents by company, and presented a sort of realistic timeline, which was very good. In terms of ChatGPT, I think the market data was similar, slightly broader in range. So instead of it had like a range between 25 and 45 billion by 2030, where I think Gemini was a little bit tighter. Accurate technology overviews, but fewer specifics, and provided a practical technology timeline. So I think both really, really good. This time I'm going to give Gemini 5 and I'm going to give ChatGPT 4.5. In terms of depth of analysis, Gemini was extensive. There was lots of technological advancements in there, and thorough explanation of the patent landscape, detailed explanation of sustainability, etc. And ChatGPT was deep and methodical, slightly less detailed in the patent analytics, which is interesting. It's the first time I think we've really found it to have less information, good coverage. So this time I'm going to give Gemini 5 and I'm going to give ChatGPT 4.5. In terms of clarity, both documents were well structured, clear headings, tables, etc. Both used tables this time. Language was technical, but it was approachable, clearly written, well organized. I'm going to give them both 5 out of 5. And then in terms of usability, I thought that Gemini was just a bit more usable. Clear market forecasts, clear emphasis on sustainability. ChatGPT was useful, well defined, it was very close, slightly less actionable, I think. So on that one, I'm going to give ChatGPT 4.5 and Gemini 5. On that one, Gemini 1. Let's move on to the next. Okay, for the final demonstration of deep research, I'm going to do some deep policy analysis. So I want some analysis on global policy, so not just in the UK, relating to online harms. I know in the UK this is something that's a hot topic, but I'd be interested to see what's going on around the world, covering cyberbullying, predators, explicit content, etc. And I want a deep dive into the proposed solutions. So let's see what we get. Set ChatGPT off and let's set Gemini off. ChatGPT will, I assume, ask me some questions. Oh, there we go. And I get the inevitable questions. I don't have to worry about Gemini because I know it's going to be quicker. So let's get ChatGPT going. Set that one going. And we jump over to Gemini. Now you're nearing your limit of 10 research reports. You can generate 5 more until April the 18th. Aha. So now we've found the limits in Gemini. You effectively get 10, I think, a fortnight, probably something like that, 10 a fortnight. So obviously I've used 5, so I've got 5 left, and we've seen how good they are. The fact that you can get them for free, certainly worth using them. What I would suggest is that you use the prompt builder and make sure that you've got really strong prompts so that you get the most out of the 10 that you've got, if you use, especially if you're using the free Gemini. Okay, so here we've got Gemini's paper, and I like it. Executive summary, an introduction, international conventions and treaties. It was nicely set out, this one. National and regional policy frameworks. Lots of data, lots of details. Really good. 25 pages, and certainly looked at a lot of citations, works that are cited. How many? Look at that, 114. Very cool. Let's have a look at what ChatGPT did. Okay, here we are in ChatGPT, 36 pages. So as normal, quite a bit more. Not always the case. I give you that, but generally it tends to be a bit bigger. Certainly takes a lot longer. Introduction and scope of online harms. So no executive summary, just jump straight in. All the data. Felt this one was a little bit more sort of superficial, didn't really go into the data and wasn't as structured as nicely as the other document as Gemini. Interesting that sometimes this was quite helpful. United States, the different laws, the Australian Online Safety Act, New Zealand, Harmful Digital Comms Act, trends, picked out trends, that was cool. Now there's something I want to show you at the bottom. Really interesting paper. It did a good job. So we have the references, not quite sure how many, not 113, but this is interesting. All source URLs were accessed and verified as of April the 4th, 2025. Now, so that's today. So all of those sources are actually looked at, which is why we're getting so few hallucinations with deep research. As I say, I've been using it every day, just about, for the last month and a half, and I've not yet found hallucinations. So maybe because of the way that it operates, the way that it always goes and finds the actual document, that cuts down on the number of hallucinations. Very cool. Okay, so in terms of scoring for the Gemini one, I was really impressed. And for accuracy, I gave it 5 out of 5. It was thoroughly referenced and reliable sources, used UNICEF, EU legislation. Facts were presented were up to date and credible. Its depth of analysis was really strong, covered extensive policy frameworks, well-rounded exploration of different stakeholder perspectives. Clarity, I think, much better in terms of structured use of headings, etc. It did a really good job this time. And usability, it was really good, offers valuable insights for policymakers. So I gave it, for accuracy, 5. For depth of analysis, I gave it 5. For clarity, I gave it 5. And for practical usability, I gave it 4.5. So it only lost half a point. Really cool. And for ChatGPT, I think accuracy, it was good. There were fewer sort of direct citations compared with the Gemini version. So I gave it 4 for that. In terms of depth of analysis, it covered the main areas, but it lacked the detailed exploration of the policies and the practical implications that were in the Gemini paper. So I gave it 3.5. And clarity, reasonably clear. As you saw, it just wasn't set out anywhere near as well. So I gave it 4 for clarity, and then usability. It was just a bit limited in terms of its guidance. So I only gave it 3 for that. So for that one, Gemini, big winner. Okay, so the scores are in. I've been through this with you, and what I've done is given the ChatGPT score. These are all of the scores, and this is the average score. So for accuracy, ChatGPT got an average of 4.7. Gemini got an average of 4.6. Depth of analysis, ChatGPT got an average of 4.4 and Gemini got an average of 4. Clarity, ChatGPT got an average of 4.6 and Gemini got an average of 4.4. Practical usability, ChatGPT 4.3, Gemini 3.9. Speed and efficiency, 2 I gave to ChatGPT. It was consistently slower. I mean, not just a little bit slower, massively slower. And I gave Gemini 5. And then for price, obviously ChatGPT 1, very expensive if you want to use it a lot. And Gemini, you get some usage for cheap, which is 3. So overall, and the winner is overall score, and really based on speed rather than anything else, Gemini on 24.9, ChatGPT on 21. But actually, if you take out speed and efficiency, so if you're not bothered about speed and efficiency, much closer. So on the really important things, I guess, ChatGPT just wins out. But look, it's marginal. 4.7, 4.6, 4.44. So on accuracy, depth of analysis, clarity, and practical usability, ChatGPT wins out in each of those. So I guess the question is it worth the extra money and the extra time waiting? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I'll put a link up here to my last video where I used deep research. That was just a ChatGPT deep research. Remember, all of the prompts that I've used today will be available on the website. I'll put a link down below, and I'll also have a link down below to my website so that you can go and use the prompt builder. Remember, it's absolutely free. You can use it as much as you want. Really happy for you to use it. All you have to do is log into the site. I'm not going to spam you. I'm not going to send you any information. You can log in with your Google like you do with anything else. It just means that I can protect the API that drives the prompt builder. Really happy to have any feedback from you on how the prompt builder works. I want to improve it. I've got some ideas. I might put in a special key for deep research so that it does something slightly different to create better prompts for that. I think deep research is amazing. You've seen here that on balance, there's not a lot of difference between ChatGPT and Google. And if you are on a budget and don't want to pay, certainly use the 10 free deep researchers on Gemini, because it's really good. And this technology is really what's making the difference for me. I'm finding my ability to look at political issues, to do country reports, to do historical stuff like you've seen today, really enhanced by using deep research. If you've got some value out of this video, please drop me a like. It really helps get the video out there. Feel free to share it. Feel free to share the prompt builder with your friends, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye for now.